Okay, so just quickly, how to sketch the graph of a logarithmic function. And a lot of times people will get a logarithmic function and be asked to sketch it, and it just all falls apart. It seems daunting. It's actually very straightforward and actually relatively easy. So let's take a look at this and how this works. And I think that you'll agree with me that this is actually pretty easy business here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So here's what we're supposed to graph. We're supposed to graph f of x equals the common log of x plus 10. And what I want you to make sure that you understand about that is if you don't see a base, that you assume a base of 10 here. Okay, you don't need to write that, but if you see something here, you see log, and you don't see a base, it's log base 10, and it's called the common log. Okay, so just some simple guidelines, and if you memorize these guidelines, this will get really, really easy. We assume that we have this y equals log base b of x, of the quantity x minus h, and most of the time there'll be a plus k out here, but we're not going to talk about that k value. The k value is a vertical shift, and that's as much as I need to say about that. But here it says the line x is equal to h is a vertical asymptote. So you say, well, what is h? Well, h is this thing, and what you're going to find is that when you're looking for this h value, go to your parentheses, and whatever's in the parentheses, ask yourself what number makes that whole thing equal 0. So the question I'm asking myself now is, x plus 10 is equal to 0. Well, when? And it's when x is equal to 10. Right? So this is this vertical asymptote that I was just talking about. So when you're doing your graph, this is how I would do that. It's a great way to show your vertical asymptotes is just draw it as a broken line, right? So, and it is significant you draw it as a broken line because that shows that insinuates that it's an imaginary line. And we have x is equal to negative 10. Now remember that this value in here has got to be this final value in here has to be a positive number. That's why we can't have x is equal to negative 10. We also know that the domain of this has to be x is greater than h because this has to be a positive number. So any number smaller than negative 10, right, would make this a negative number, and that's not a possibility for us, right? We also know that the domain here is x is greater than that h value. And lastly, look, this is what I want to show you. Lastly, we have this thing that does this. We know our graph is going to take this general shape. It's going to take this general shape that as it moves to the right, it's going to take on this shape right here. It's a little bit steep, but that's the general shape of this. And then what I'm going to do is find some easy values. And here you got to plan a little bit. So find some easy values like this. Because we have log base 10, we want things that we can raise to an exponent and get a value here. So what if x is 0? If x is 0, then we have log base 10 of 10. And the question is, 10 to what power equals 10? And it's 1. So we would get the point, wouldn't we? 0, 1 here. Wouldn't we? Does that make sense? Okay. And here's another one. Look at this. Why am I going to use? I'm going to use negative 9. So here's another. I'm like, you figure out why I'm using this. X equals negative 9. Well, look at it. What happens here? I take out the x. I put in the negative 9. Negative 9 plus 10 is 1. Well, what's log base 10 of 1? Let's just say 10 raised to what power equals 1? And it's 0, isn't it? So that gives us this point here, the point negative 9, 0. Okay? And that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess we should name this thing. We should say what this is. We put f of x is equal to the common log of x plus 10. All right? And I think that's really simple. I would really focus on the guidelines. Okay? I did a couple other videos and went through a lot more examples, but just as a quick idea of how you would graph something like this, this is how I would have done it. Okay? Looking for your comments. Tell me what I can do better, or tell me what videos you'd like to hear more of. Thanks. Peace.